Okay, so the next part of the lesson is we're going to be adding patterns and contrast, okay? So, like I said, I'm gonna hide this pattern or this mistake by turning it into a pattern. So I'm gonna make kind of like a stripy situation. And it kind of goes at an angle. That one's not quite right. It's okay, because I know how to fix it. So remember I talked about creating contrast and making some differences. So an easy way to do that is by creating contrast is by coloring in some of your stripes with your pencil. Now, I know I'm using a marker, but if you guys remember anything that I've done on paper and we tried to draw from my videos where I've drawn with pencil and paper, we have a really hard time seeing what I'm drawing. Now you can make your stripes more solid than I am. I just don't want to take up all of your class time to do it. Ooh, that one's terrible. Let me fix that. So now I've created a stripe-like pattern. Okay? And you're going to do that in all of your towers. So maybe this one is going to have dots and some lines, but in this part it's going to have some wavy lines. And again, if you color in some of your lines, it'll create some really interesting contrasts, okay? Do the same thing for this one. So let's change this one up and do a dot pattern in this one. So I'm gonna do, and then a dash line. So you can combine your lines together. You can keep them simple like the ones that we've already done, or you can combine your lines together, and that creates some different contrast than before. Okay, this one I think I'm going to do some diagonal stripes, and I think in here I'm just going to put a wavy line in between some of them. See, I didn't do it in all of them because you want to have a little bit more contrast to be seen. Now you could color those in, or you can leave those white. I'm going to leave those white. This one here, I'm going to go a little bit crazy. I'm going to start with a wavy line that's diagonal, and then I'm going to go this way and this way. That's not very wavy. So again, a way to fix any mistake you have made is to color it in, and you won't even notice that you made a mistake. And guys, it's okay that you have mistakes in your artwork. Mistakes in artwork are perfectly normal. Okay. And then this one in the back, I'm going to do a castle line. Okay, now with that castle line, it needs to have some additional contrast. Now, like I said, you can combine lines or you can just shade it in. So I think I'm going to just shade this one in to get started. Because that's going to create big, bold areas. And that's what you want to have. You want to have bold areas that stand out. Make sure when you're coloring, you're going slowly so you don't make mistakes. Miss Ottenreith's been drawing for a really long time now, and she colors outside the lines, and it doesn't bother her so much when that happens, but it might bother you. So I would take your time and go slowly. This part is what's going to take you the longest. Okay, now in between these big white spaces, I'm going to put some dots because I think that will add a nice variety of line patterns. Now, if you guys notice, I'm not stabbing my paper with my marker. I'm actually drawing the dots. Up here, let's keep this one pretty simple. Let's just do a zigzag. So in the middle, I'm going to do a zigzag that kind of comes across here. And then inside of this, I'm going to do I'm deliberately drawing diagonal stripes in there. And then I'm going to leave this part. I think it needs some dash lines. It needs something in there. Something different. Okay. Now here comes the next part, is where you're going to do some designs in your onion domes. Now, one way to do this is by following the shape of the onion dome and drawing some curved lines down to make your onion layers. And then they look really neat when you do stripes. And then you color in your stripes. And I like to do it where I have something in one stripe inside of one part, and then I have something completely different in the other part. So that means, like this one, I could have just polka dots. Okay, easy enough. And then this one up here, you could just do, one of the ones I like to do is just where you draw diagonal lines. And then inside the diagonal lines, you draw zigzags. But not in every single one of them. Like I said before, you want to break up the variety. Okay, and then you get more advanced with your stripe patterns as you go. You might notice Miss Ottenreith really likes to have polka dots. And then I'm going to put dashes inside of there. This one's kind of too small to put dashes. But you see, this is going to be heavily decorated. This one, I think, let's do wavy lines. And then in between each one of those, we can put some more dashes. And then this one can have some polka dots. So it's just really, really weird looking. And then this one, let's see, let's do another one like this. So I just follow the same lines that I've already drawn. And they don't need to be perfect. Just kind of oniony. And then I like to do, let's do a castle line in this one. It's kind of small, but it works. Okay. And then maybe this one we'll do like what we did here, where we can repeat patterns as long as they aren't directly touching. So if they're directly touching, you don't want to have the same pattern. So what I don't want to do is put the same pattern here and here, or here and here and here, because then it's not very interesting. The whole idea is that we want to create contrast. So you can combine your patterns however you like, and you can reuse them however many times you want, as long as you remember that you don't want your patterns touching each other. Now this one, let's do some vertical wavy lines, and we'll shade those in too. And I bet you're thinking, how in the world are we going to do vertical wavy lines over here? Well, it's easy. Just like that. And sometimes it's a little too tight to do that perfectly, but don't worry about it. Just gotta make some parts of it real skinny. Yeah, same thing over here. And then this last one, let's just do zigzags. Something like what we did there. And then let's just repeat that pattern. I like that pattern. Now, if you want to, you can do some smaller patterns inside these open spaces, or you can just leave them open to help increase contrast. Now for this one, maybe this one I feel like you could color these ones in because there's not a lot of contrast as far as dark to light in the tower itself. So maybe if you did something like this, it would help increase the variation in your shapes. Now mine kind of disappears a little bit, but that's all right. It's not a big deal. All right, guys, that's it for this project.